Hey everyone, Charlie here, and welcome to another episode of Learn to Play Piano with Charlie, where we're going to learn to play piano, and I'm Charlie. Today we're going to take on a very, very specific question from a viewer about how to play legato with big gaps. Before we start, you know what to do. Like, favorite, subscribe, and if you aren't already on YouTube, head on over there and subscribe there, because that's where a lot of the videos of these types and other types too. Alright, so let's get right to it. Legato. So legato is playing smooth and connected. We all know that. And we have several videos already on topics of legato and all kinds of stuff. But how do you do legato when you just can't reach it, right? Like, if it's super far away, if you have gaps, things like that. There's specific answers to specific situations, but I think one of the big things is especially when you can't physically connect two notes, but even when you can, you want to think in terms of long lines and phrasing. You want the lines melodically to continue. And if you can feel that and you can express that in your music, then it can come across as much more legato and musical than if you can't. So, a lot of times things that are legato, not always, but a lot of times things that are legato are melodic. So they have like a melody. So for example, we might have, I'll just make something up here. Right? This is a very melodic, very pretty kind of a melody, and it's legato. I did put some gaps in there, and I'm not going to be able to play it exactly the same because I already forgot it. But when you're playing notes that are close together that you can reach, obviously you want to finger legato as much as possible. You can also use some flutter pedal to keep it, smooth it over. Don't just drown it in the pedal, because that sounds bad. So we've got. It's easy to play legato when it's very close. Connect the fingers, overlap slightly, you know the drill. But what can we do when it's really, really far away? Like, for example, let's say you have, let's say you want to go, or it's going to be hard to kind of to do that, right? Because they're just so far apart. In this specific example, what you can do is if it's slow enough, if the piece is slow enough, let's say you're going, actually can kind of finger legato by switching fingers. So for example, I'm going, switching my 2 to 1, 5 to 1, 5 to 1, 5. So you can kind of switch fingers silently on the keys. That can be really helpful. Another thing you can do though, let's say you, and it applies here, but let's say you can't even switch fingers. Let's say you're going from, right? You can't connect. I mean, you're gonna let go. So pedal, of course, can be some of it, but let's say you don't want to rely solely on the pedal. So what you can do is think in terms of long lines. You got to feel it going from there to there, and you have to think about, let's say, imagine you were like a violinist or something, and you could hold the note and go right to it. That, if you were doing that and you were crescendoing, you can kind of feel that crescendo going all the way to the top. So if you do that, psychologically moving from one to the other and kind of imagining that crescendo going to that next note can really help with the whole concept of playing with long lines. And generally playing and thinking in terms of long lines in music is something that a lot of people always have to kind of keep reminding themselves, because it is something that's really hard to do. It's very easy to play short and choppy, or even, but in terms of thinking long lines, it's a little bit harder. So if you think in terms of long lines here, it can be much more effective. So if you're playing it with, something. If you think in terms of how it would be played if you could crescendo on a note, or vice versa, decrescendo. Let's say you're going from here to here. And then you're gonna fade away. Let's say you're doing that. What could you do? You could go, imagine the decrescendo if you were playing like a violin, for example. Oops, wrong. 1 note. 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 1 no if you can express it with your body language also as you're playing, that might be able to help you and the audience also feel that long line. So for example, if I played that same thing like this, it's a very different feel than if I play it like this. Because my body is showing where it's going, so it helps me feel that long line better, and it might even help the audience who might be watching you feel that long line better too. And even if they aren't watching you, it probably can help them actually feel it and hear it because you're feeling and hearing it better, because your body motion reflects what it is that you're trying to get out of it, if that makes any sense. So anyways, I hope some of these ideas aren't too conceptual, but I think they really can make a big difference, especially when you're playing legato with such large gaps, and that can happen in music and oftentimes does. So long lines, imagine where the music is going, direction. Is it going somewhere? Is it coming away? And thinking in terms of those long lines and phrases really can be very helpful. And of course, if it's going or coming, if it's going somewhere or coming away, you can think in terms of how would a stringed instrument, for example, do it? Is it crescendoing to that next note? Is it coming away from that last note? What is it doing? And those are all kind of related concepts, and I think they can be very, very helpful in achieving that very long line, phrased, and beautiful melodic gapped legato. All right, I hope you guys are doing good, and let me know if you have any comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.